Review Hub. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.
At first when I got it, I assumed everything was fine, but I quickly noticed that there were a couple things off about the controller. It might have been my paranoia, but I don't think these controllers are authentic. My right analog stick has stopped working within 4 months of me buying the controller. I had my original controller for years before it stopped working, and this one didn't even last half a year. I don't understand how that is possible. I bought one from Best Buy on Black Friday and compared, and there are minute details that are off with the touchpad and the directional pad. Additionally, the serial number label on the back of the controller is different than the other controllers I have, two I bought from Best Buy a couple days ago. I recommend buying from the store. These are not the wave. For some reason these controllers from Amazon just aren't the same as the ones from Walmart. They're lighter, the analog sticks are so loose, no stiffness at all, they just flop around, and they all die on me within a few months. There must be different manufacturers involved here. Edit. By die I mean they quit holding a charge for more than like 30 minutes. I have a Walmart one that I bought when my PS4 that is a year and a half old and its analog sticks are still nice and stiff. It still holds a 5+ hour charge. Meanwhile I've gone through 4 of these and have no intention of ever buying another one. For the untrained eye, let me teach you how to spot a real DualShock 4 controller from a fake. 1. Does your controller touchpad in the middle make a loud clicking sound upon pressing down? If yes, then it's a fake. Original PS4 controllers have a smooth soft click when pushing down the touchpad. 2. Original controllers always have an orangey-yellowy light turning on and off when charging. Always, unless it's fully charged. If upon charging your controller the light turns orange or yellow, then turns off and doesn't keep repeating the process but it is still charging while there is no light to indicate that the controller is charging, then it's definitely a fake. If you are not too sure, make sure there is only 0,1 or 2 bars left before charging, because some controller won't charge if they are at 3 full bars and won't go down a bar until an hour or 2 pass by, depending on the vibration and button movement. To check battery status you can just press and hold the PlayStation button down. 3. And one of my favorites is when you turn on your controller, keep an eye on the light in back of your controller as it lights up. Should take a second or 2 to fully turn on. If it flickers when the light is turning on, or the light lags or looks like it struggled to turn fully on, it is 100% fake. Easiest way to spot a counterfeit. 4. Only for the super fake ones, the Sony sticker on the back of the controller will not be straight, or the sticker on the back is already peeling off on its own. There are other ways to find out if DualShocks are fake, but you have to have a little more experience with fake controllers. If you do have experience, here are some extras in case you did not know. Make sure your buttons are not sticking out too much, and make sure the PS button is not a little off or the texture of the controller is off. Check analog sticks, button texture and the color of the Sony sticker in back of the controller between L1 and L2. Bought this as a backup for my original PS4 controller, which is still working just fine. Used lightly for about 30 hours of gameplay and the problem started. The left thumbstick does not appear to any longer be returning to center/neutral, making it impossible to correctly interact with games as you are unwillingly moved in different directions and are unable to stay still. Resetting the controller did not correct the issue. Realized that I am out of the return window, so I just bit the bullet and bought another $42 replacement. I don't think that it is unrealistic to expect the controller to work longer than it did. Very disappointed. Keeping my fingers crossed for the new one that just arrived. The left analog stick always wears out. You may not notice right away because it doesn't show in all games. In games where the left stick movement is very sensitive, certain directions will cause the character to shuffle their feet repeatedly because the controller's signal constantly shows a strong/weak press alternating. My first controller, this issue was when pressing around 1 o'clock on the analog, the second one is when I press straight to the left. I've never had so many problems with the game system's controller. Even my 360 controllers which have stick drift don't become as unplayable as these PS4 controllers do. I have gone through 2 DualShock 4 new model controllers, one that came with my PS4 Pro and a second one I ordered a month later when the first one developed issues with the left analog stick. Now, my second controller is showing the exact same issues. The symptoms are that at some specific angle, in my case at the very least slightly to the left or right of straightforward, the stick will not respond properly. This will result in the game character for instance suddenly slowing to a walk from a run and back again, resulting in very stuttery movement. And over time the issue will get worse, with larger dead zones. Sony will replace the controllers under warranty within 1 year, but the warranty process is inconvenient to say the least. You have to mail the controller to them, and you might not get it back for 2 or 3 weeks. Without a controller, the PlayStation system is unusable. There are several guides out there that detail how to replace the sticks yourself, but they require cracking the controller open and desoldering the stick to solder a new one in its place. When the stick is behaving normally the controller is great, but with 2 in a row going bad like this I will be looking into a third-party controller for sure. I was so excited to get this remote because of the color. It went with Spider-Man and Red Dead Redemption 2. However, it has been a little over 1 month and the controller is starting to act faulty. With a full-time job and college courses, I haven't had much time to play, so it's not abuse on my part. The controller keeps shifting to the left even when my hands are off the controller. This happens during gameplay and during the initial PlayStation screen menu. I've turned the controller off and on, restarted the PlayStation, connected the USB cable to see if there is a difference and no matter what it seems to shift to the left. I don't have the same problem with my original controller so it's definitely an issue with this controller. It's very disappointing. Sony PS4 controllers are what they are. This review is more about Amazon's supplier of these controllers and some tips on how to point out the duds from the studs. They seem to be hit or miss based on other reviews. I've given them 2 chances both times. Unfortunately the controllers were fake and these were my experiences. My first experience, the right control stick's calibration was severely off while trying to select items on the crafting wheel while playing Days Gone. I figured it was defective and sent it back to get another thinking nothing of it. With my second attempt on the new order my experience was slightly different but with the same result. I was playing NBA 2K with some friends when my earpiece started playing the sounds that normally come out of the controller's speaker in my ear at an obscene volume. As my eardrum was ringing and my head pounding I plugged out the microphone, made sure that my setting were set to chat only. It was. I just could not make sense of it. With the microphone unplugged and the game ongoing, the sounds of the referee's whistle and other effects now coming through the controller's speaker sounded as if it was coming though something you'd buy at a 99-cent store. I took one of my other controllers and started visually comparing the two. From what I was able to gather, these are the things I noticed that were clear standouts proving the lack of authenticity. Refer to pictures. Authentic one is on the top. Counterfeit is within the white packaging. The sticker on the back should not have a white barcode, it should be blended into the whole sticker. The EXT and headset marking should blend in lightly, not bright white. PS button compared to the authentic one is slightly but noticeably off when comparing the two closely. Thumbstick look a lot cheaper and edges are unevenly cut. Speaker, microphone, headset issue I mentioned earlier. It's definitely a darn good counterfeit product but not at retail price. Being a prime. I first encountered the DualShock 4 controller when I was playing on my PS4 and it was great. Lightweight, great response time, love the LEDs that change colors, touchpad is also good and triggers are responsive enough for feedback. Now I switched back to PC gaming and this is great. I'm running it with DS4 Windows, which is a third-party app to make the DS4 controller work on Windows. It's great. You can use it either wired or wireless and charge from PC with the micro USB cable it comes with. I played WWE 2K18, NBA 2K18, COD, World War II, and South Park with it. So far great. Highly recommend if you use controllers for PC gaming. I have definitely seen multiple improvements with these new PS4 controllers over the older ones. The battery lasts a lot longer, the thumbsticks are more rugged and have a better grip on them, L2 and R2 buttons are more springy, a good thing, and the thumbsticks also feel way smoother when moving them around. Other things I have noticed is that the buttons are now gray like the throwback controller and there is now a light on the touchpad. Although the last gen controllers are still pretty good, I would definitely recommend the new gen controllers for only $10 more. Update, December 4, 2017. This controller still functions as if it were new, even with heavy use, which includes me dropping it on multiple occasions. It has outlasted 3 Gen 1 controllers. Bravo Sony. Update, July 11, 2018. Controller still functions great. The colors are all very nice, but the ridge of plastic around the shoulder buttons is a sharper edge rather than a smooth one that I am used to for legitimate Sony controllers. There are little notches in some parts of the plastic. The touchpad in the middle makes an audible click instead of the smooth and silent press of a normal controller. The light is very bright and glaring rather than a calming soft glow. The line of light that is visible through the touchpad is inconsistent and jagged. It is hard to tell from the picture, but the light line is darker on one side and some of the color of the paint from the controller shows through. The controller did work on my PC right away, however, and I did have experienced glaring issues from only about 10 minutes of play. I am posting the serial number just in case they are using the same one more than once. Oh my goodness, if I knew what I know now I would have never invested in Steam's controller for my computer. Thank goodness for grandson's input because I would have never known any different. I originally purchased the Steam controller and I will admit it does do what it claims to do. Unfortunately PS controllers rule. With my Steam controller I had to jump through hoops to get it set up to something I was comfortable with, and it did not always respond as I had set it up to do. When I first started using the PS4 controller I found the buttons to be a bit much, however with a bit of endurance it is like second nature now. The ease of the control of things is exceptionally well designed and I don't have to put batteries in constantly as I did on the Steam controller. I will state that even though I find this controller far exceeds my Steam controller, that on extremely rare occasion the controller will divert back to what Steam believes are the best setting, yet this is easily resolved by rebooting the controller. These controllers are pretty cheap but they work decently and they feel pretty good as well. The thing that really sucks about them is how poor their battery life is. A long gaming session into a day this thing might not actually last through. If you plan on using this controller for a long periods of time or you forget to plug it in at night, you're going to have to use a battery pack charger or some such to give it power. Comparing this to another Bluetooth wireless controller that I have, such as the Wii U Pro controller, it is pathetic. The Wii U Pro controller's battery life is about 80 hours, which is insane. Well, this controller's battery life is maybe 8 hours. I bought a PlayStation in February and by April I had to buy this controller because the one that came with the bundle stopped working and it's irreparable. Now this controller has been faulty from the get-go. Both joysticks are not 100% responsive and the left joystick click works 1/3 times you click it. When I try to aim there is almost always a default left rotation that I have to struggle with in game. This also interferes with the sensitivity of the rotation to the right because I have to be fighting that left pull, so my left rotation can be super quick and then my right rotation can be slow. Notice I say can because this happens 50% of the time, so it is random. This has been happening since the first month of using the controller. It stopped for a while but it came back and it's still there. I tried just getting used to it but it has affected my gameplay too much. Yesterday I used a friend's controller and I immediately felt the difference and did not feel restrained.
For more product reviews, please don't forget to like and subscribe to Review Hub. Thanks for watching.